Ever thought about where sports and politics intersect and the role athletes play in this arena? It's fascinating, isn't it? The field of sports, often seen as a realm of leisure and entertainment, is so intrinsically entwined with the world of politics. It's a connection that's as old as time, yet as relevant as today's headlines. From the days of antiquity to the modern era, athletes have always been more than just players in the game. They are influencers, role models, and sometimes crusaders for change. Our aim is to unravel the chronology of athlete activism, to understand its evolution and significance. We'll delve into the moments that have shaped history, the actions that have stirred conversations, and the individuals who have dared to use their platform for more than just sports. So buckle up, history buffs and sports enthusiasts alike. Join us as we journey through the history of athlete activism and its undeniable influence on the world. Athlete activism isn't a new phenomenon. It traces back to the early 20th century. One of the earliest instances of this was seen in the life of Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight boxing champion. But Johnson was not just a sports figure. He was a symbol of resistance, a man who fought against the racial discrimination of his time. Born into a world that sought to limit him, Johnson broke through the glass ceilings that society had imposed. He punched his way to the top, but his fight extended far beyond the boxing ring. Johnson's success was a direct challenge to the racial prejudices of early 20th century America. He was a man who wasn't afraid to defy societal norms, to be a champion both in and out of the ring. And then we have Jesse Owens, another name etched in the annals of sports history. Owens is best known for his spectacular performance at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, where he won 4 gold medals. But more than his athletic prowess, Owens is celebrated for his defiance against Hitler's Aryan supremacy. In the face of a dictator who sought to use the Olympics as a platform to promote his racist ideologies, Owens emerged victorious, a black man standing tall, proving that talent and determination know no race. His victories were not just for himself, but for all those who were being oppressed and marginalized. These early instances of athlete activism were more than just sports stories. They were narratives of resistance, of individuals using their platforms to challenge societal norms and fight for what's right. They were stories of courage, of individuals who dared to stand against the tide. Johnson's and Owens's stories are reminders that sports are more than just games. They are platforms for change, for challenging the status quo. These men were not just athletes. They were activists, pioneers who used their influence to fight for equality and justice. These early instances set the stage for the emergence of athlete activism as we know it today. The 1960s, a decade marked by civil rights movements and anti-war sentiments, saw athletes using their platform like never before. Let's take a step back to the year 1968, where the Olympics in Mexico City captured the world's attention, not just for the athletic prowess on display, but for a moment of silent protest that still echoes today. 2 American sprinters, Tommie Smith and John Carlos, took to the podium for the 200-meter dash. As the Star-Spangled Banner played, they raised their fists in a Black Power salute, an image that would become one of the most iconic symbols of athlete activism. Smith and Carlos, with their heads bowed and fists raised, used their moment of glory to shed light on the racial inequality plaguing their home country. Now let's shift our focus to another sports icon, Muhammad Ali. A heavyweight champion known for his lightning-fast punches and equally quick wit, Ali was more than just a boxer. He was an outspoken critic of the Vietnam War, a stance that cost him his title and nearly his freedom. Ali refused to be drafted into the military, citing his religious beliefs and opposition to the war. Despite facing a potential 5-year prison sentence, Ali remained steadfast in his convictions. His refusal to serve in Vietnam sparked a national debate about the role athletes should play in political and social issues. But Ali didn't stop there. He used his platform to champion civil rights, speaking out against racial injustice and advocating for religious freedom. He was a fighter in and out of the ring, using his influence to inspire change and challenge the status quo. The 1960s were a time of upheaval and change, and athletes were at the forefront of the fight for equality and justice. They used their platforms to raise awareness, spark conversations, and challenge societal norms. The actions of Smith, Carlos, and Ali set a precedent for future generations of athletes, showing them that they could use their influence to affect change far beyond the playing field. The 1960s truly marked a turning point in the history of athlete activism. Fast forward to the 21st century, athlete activism has taken a new form. Today's sports stars aren't just dominating their respective fields, they're also stepping up and using their platforms to address societal issues and affect change. One of the most prominent examples of this shift is the National Football League's Colin Kaepernick. In 2016, Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to protest against police brutality and racial inequality. His peaceful protest sparked a national conversation, and although it came with consequences, it highlighted the power that athletes wield in shaping public opinion. Kaepernick's actions were not an isolated incident. Many more athletes have since followed suit, employing their influence to draw attention to the issues they care about. From LeBron James speaking up about gun violence to Megan Rapinoe advocating for equal pay in sports, modern athletes are no longer simply competitors. They are also champions for social justice. The activism is not limited to individual athletes. Entire teams and leagues have shown solidarity in the face of social injustice. Take, for instance, the Women's National Basketball Association. The WNBA players have consistently made headlines for their collective efforts towards social justice. From dedicating their season to Breonna Taylor, a black woman killed by police, to supporting Raphael Warnock in the Georgia Senate race to counteract a team owner's opposing stance, these women have demonstrated the power of unity and the potential for sports to transcend beyond the court. This new wave of athlete activism is a testament to the evolving role of sports figures in our society. They are not just entertainers, but influencers and leaders who have the power to inspire and affect change. And while the road to change is long and fraught with challenges, these athletes are taking the lead, undeterred by the risks and backlash. They are redefining what it means to be a sports star in the 21st century. Today's athletes continue to use their platform to spotlight societal issues and affect change. The question remains, does athlete activism truly make a difference? Let's dive in. The actions of athlete activists have continually rippled through society, their voices echoing in the public consciousness. When an athlete takes a stand, they're not just making a statement, they're sparking a conversation, challenging norms, and urging us to reevaluate our perspectives. Take a look at the policy changes that have come as a result of athlete activism. From equal pay in women's sports to the push for diversity and inclusion across all games, the influence is palpable. These aren't merely isolated incidents, they're part of a broader movement, a collective push towards fairness, justice, and equality in and out of the sports world. But it's not all applause and commendation. Athletes who speak out often face backlash. They're told to stick to sports, as if their status as athletes negates their experiences and perspectives as human beings. They're criticized for politicizing the games, for disrupting the status quo. But isn't that the point? To disrupt, to challenge, to question? The debate over the place of politics in sports is a lively one. On one hand, some argue that sports should be an escape from the harsh realities of the world, a neutral ground where the only competition is on the field or court. On the other hand, others contend that athlete activism is a necessary use of the platform, a chance to address societal issues head-on. But here's the thing, sports have always been political. From racial segregation to gender discrimination, the sports world has mirrored society's struggles and victories. Athlete activism is not an intrusion of politics into sports. It's a reflection of the realities that athletes, like all of us, live in. So does athlete activism make a difference? It's more than just a question of policy changes or public opinion. It's about the conversations that are ignited, the injustices that are highlighted, and the societal norms that are challenged. Regardless of the ongoing debate, the impact of athlete activism on society is undeniable. We've traversed the timeline of athlete activism, from the early 20th century to the present day. We've seen how this form of activism took root, with athletes finding their voice and using their platforms to stand up for what they believe in. From the early beginnings, where pioneers made bold statements in challenging times, to the transformative 60s, a time of change when athletes began to use their influence to shape societal views. We then moved to the modern era, an age where the power of social media has amplified the reach and impact of athlete activism. We've delved into the notable instances of athlete activism, illustrating the courage and conviction of these sportsmen and sportswomen. And we've explored the impact of their actions, the ripples they've created in the world of sports and beyond. Athlete activism, existing at the crossroads of sports and politics, continues to be a powerful tool for social change.